From cattle boy to president, the untold story of Hakainde Hichilema. What does it take to rise from poverty to become the president of an entire nation? This is the story of a boy who once herded cattle in rural Zambia, who faced prison, political defeat, and rejection, but refused to give up. This is the journey of Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia's 7th president. Humble beginnings, born on June 4, 1962, in a small village called Hachipona in Monze district. At the time, Zambia wasn't even Zambia yet. It was still known as Northern Rhodesia. Hakainde Hichilema grew up in extreme poverty, raised in a rural farming family. He often describes himself as a village boy or even a cattle boy because his early life was spent herding livestock. But here's what made him different. He believed education was his way out. Despite limited resources, he worked hard and earned a scholarship to the University of Zambia, where he studied economics and business administration. Education and rise in business. After graduating in 1986, Hichilema didn't stop there. He went on to pursue an MBA at the University of Birmingham in the UK. This was a major turning point, from a rural boy to an internationally trained economist. He quickly rose in the corporate world, became CEO of Coopers and Libran Zambia, later led Grant Thornton Zambia by the early 2000s. Hichilema had built a reputation as a successful businessman and wealthy farmer, but wealth wasn't enough. He wanted power, not for luxury, but for change. Entering politics. In 2006, everything changed. After the death of opposition leader Anderson Mazoka, Hichilema took over the United Party for National Development. That same year, he ran for president and lost. Not once, not twice, but 5 times. 2006, lost 2008, lost 2011, lost 2015, narrow loss 2016, lost again. Each defeat would have broken most people, but not Hichilema. Instead, he built a powerful image, a persistent opposition leader, a symbol of resistance, a man who refused to quit prison and political persecution. Then came the darkest moment. In 2017, Hichilema was arrested and charged with treason under President Edgar Lungu. He spent months in prison. Supporters called it political persecution. International observers condemned it. Protests erupted, pressure mounted, and finally, he was released. That moment changed everything, from politician to national symbol of resilience. The breakthrough. After 15 years of trying, Hichilema ran again. This time, Zambia was facing massive debt, rising unemployment, economic crisis, and the people wanted change. The result? A landslide victory. Hichilema won with over 59% of the vote, defeating incumbent President Edgar Lungu. On August 24, 2021, he was sworn in as the 7th president of Zambia. From cattle herder to head of state, presidential era as president, Hichilema inherited a country in crisis. High national debt, inflation, economic instability. His priorities included economic reforms, fighting corruption, re-engaging international partners, boosting energy and mining sectors. He also focused on rebuilding Zambia's global image. But leadership hasn't been easy. His presidency has faced political tensions, economic pressure, criticism from opposition, yet he remains a central figure shaping Zambia's future. In 2021, Zambia was on the brink of economic collapse. Debt above 100% of GDP, inflation soaring, currency crashing, and worst of all, the country had already defaulted on its debt. Then came a businessman turned president, Hakainde Hichilema. But how did he turn things around? The crisis he inherited when Hichilema took power. Zambia had defaulted in 2020, becoming Africa's first COVID-era sovereign default. Inflation was in double digits, government debt was unsustainable, investor confidence was gone, the economy was suffocating. What Hichilema himself described as a python around our neck. Simply put, Zambia was broke, isolated, and unstable. The masterstroke, debt restructuring. The biggest move? Fixing the debt crisis. Hichilema re-engaged global lenders like the International Monetary Fund, negotiated one of Africa's most complex debt restructurings, secured over $6 billion in restructuring agreements by 2026. Around 92% of external debt had been restructured. Zambia regained financial credibility. Why this mattered? Without restructuring, Zambia couldn't invest in health, education, or growth. IMF program and economic stabilization. Hichilema didn't stop at debt talks. he secured a $1.7 billion IMF bailout program, which stabilized government spending, restored international trust, forced fiscal discipline. Results: inflation started falling, currency stabilized, economic growth returned, foreign reserves increased. Zambia went from crisis mode to recovery phase, reviving the mining sector. Zambia's lifeline is copper. Hichilema reversed hostile policies toward investors, restored confidence in mining companies, attracted billions in new investment. Key outcomes: mining, especially copper, regained momentum. Export earnings improved, government revenue increased. Copper alone accounts for over 70% of Zambia's exports, rebuilding international trust. Before 2021, Zambia was drifting diplomatically. Hichilema changed that by re-engaging with the IMF Western partners, China positioning himself as Zambia's chief marketing officer. He basically went global, pitching Zambia as open for business again. Governance and anti-corruption. Another key pillar, restoring trust at home. His government launched anti-corruption investigations, fired officials involved in scandals, promoted transparency and institutional reform. This reassured both citizens and investors. Handling new crises. Even after stabilizing the economy, challenges hit. Severe drought, 2024, energy shortages, aid cuts. Hichilema responded by declaring national emergencies, investing in solar energy projects, increasing domestic funding, reducing reliance on aid. The results so far: by 2025 to 2026, economic growth rebounding, approximately 5 to 6%. Inflation declining, debt becoming manageable, investor confidence returning. IMF praising Zambia's recovery. Even the IMF confirmed substantial progress in restoring macroeconomic stability. Not a perfect story, let's be real. It's not all success. Cost of living still high. Austerity measures hurt citizens. Youth unemployment remains a challenge. Political tensions persist. So while the economy is stabilizing, many people are still feeling the pain. Criticism from opposition, yet he remains a central figure shaping Zambia's future. Hakainde Hichilema's story is bigger than politics. It's about persistence after failure, rising from poverty, the power of education, never giving up, from a boy in a remote village to one of Africa's most talked about leaders. So what do you think? Is Hichilema the leader Zambia needed, or just another politician facing impossible expectations? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because stories like this deserve to be told.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the University of Lusaka. Let me acknowledge the Chancellor, Dr. Fundanga, the Vice Chancellor, Prof. Also recognize your leadership, management, teaching staff, lecturing staff, and everybody. May I acknowledge my cabinet colleagues that are here. Acknowledgement goes to our traditional leaders. Chiefness Commissioner Mukamambo, too. And I know other traditional leaders are here. Chief Nyampande and others, we acknowledge your presence. May I acknowledge the diplomatic corps that may be here, Chongwe Mayor. Before I go to Chongwe Mayor, may I just say central government through the Secretary of Cabinet, and then local government through the Chongwe Mayor. So recognizing everybody in that way. And members of Parliament that may be here. May I also acknowledge Vice Chancellors seated behind me and elsewhere from other universities that equally are doing a great job in their own spaces, in their own jurisdictions. I wish to make a special recognition to a great son of this country, Dr. Jacob Monze, who ran the University of Zambia for a long time, actually doing other things. We greatly appreciate your choice of Unilus to further your education. Further education. Distinguished guests, media, may I first and foremost express my gratitude just for the invitation to come and officiate opening officially this campus, Unilus campus here, but also your university teaching hospital. I think the first private university, when we were passing through their students, we thought that row was made for him only because he did a great job. Dr. Monze, thank you very much for being here. You guys don't want me to drive in Lusaka. Oh, yeah.